Hello, welcome to this deck list. This deck will be somewhat familiar if you have watched a previous video that I did decide to delete just because the deck is a lot different now. Like I changed the commander and some of the combos, etc. So I decided to make just a whole new video to update y'all on how this deck works now. So it was a Taval, the Virtue something or other, I forget the name. Basically the one that had Delve on it, which was a good deck. But I did change it to a muldrotha, the gravetide. And honestly, it's very fun to pilot. So we're just going to get into it and hopefully we'll have time for some test hands. That's kind of the hope. So we'll put muldrotha here as a reminder. And I have separated the deck into little sections. So this is the infinite combo section. So these are the combos we're going to try to get to in the course of the game. So we have the ghoul. He basically says if a zombie or mutant dies, including himself, give a player radiation, and if that player is you, give yourself a treasure too. We then have a grave crawler. See, the ghoul himself is a zombie, so if we can get a grave crawler like infinite going on infinite dying, we can essentially give ourselves infinite radiation. As soon as we have a sack outlet, we give ourselves radiation, the treasure recasts it, we give ourselves the radiation again, blah, blah, blah. And then if you run specifically a specific altar, which we'll see in a bit, you can just give the radiation to everyone else. And then that is one combo, just those two cards. The next one's a 3-card combo. We have our Hullbreaker Horror. Just to add to the salt, it is the Furby art. Talking of adding to the salt, we have the Soul Ring, which is the Deadpool art. And then we have a Zuranorb. The reason I chose Zuranorb as the 0 mana artifact, you'll see why later. But yeah, so Hullbreaker Horror with these two equals infinite colorless mana. What are you going to do with that colorless mana? Well, if you've got this, you don't need that. You just care about the infinite casts, because Aether Flux, you get to a 10 trillion life and just start shooting people down. Really little funny combo you can get going. That is another 4-card combo we're going for. And then we have a single 2-card combo that doesn't win the game, but does essentially get you there if you need it for like one of these combos, which is Basalt Monolith and Mesmeric Orb. You can untap Basalt Monolith infinitely just by itself, and Mesmeric Orb, every time you do that, you will mill yourself a card. Because if you don't know what muldrotha does, you may cast from your graveyard once per turn for each permanent type. So, you know, infinite mill sounds good for that. Talking of mill, let's get into the mill cards for the deck, which matters for a graveyard deck. So we have the Altar of Dementia, which is a way of sacrificing the Gravecrawler from earlier. We have a Dark Blast and a Life from the Loam for Dredge. Dark Blast being my personal favourite because you can do it at instant speed and it only takes 1 mana, so you can dredge pretty much every time. We then go to the next part of the mill. We have ourselves a Hermit Druid. We are running 1 of each basic. Yes, you could run 0 of each and just immediately do your entire deck. I don't like the idea of getting Swords to Plowshares and not being able to get anything from it, and on top of that, I don't like the idea of like milling my entire deck turn 2 with like 2 mana, you know, so that I have my reasons for running a couple of basics. We then have ourselves a Stitcher Supplier, just mill free, very fair milling. We then have an Aftermath Analyst. I have a little infinite with her, hence why we run the Zuranorb. But yeah, again, just fair milling, grab some lands from your graveyard, nice. Talking of lands, we have a Hedron Crab to mill ourselves for free every time a land enters. And if you only want to do 1 but give yourself an extra land drop, you can just do the Ice Till Explorer. So that's the creatures that are the majority of the mill. Then we have ourselves a Ripple of Undeath. Every main phase mill free, grab 1 for 1 mana and 3 life. If not, just leave them in the graveyard. We have a Town Greeter, mill 4, and grab a land to your hand. a Sidisi, mill free, grab zombies every time a creature enters the graveyard, and a Taval the Balanced Scale, the other Taval than what this deck originally was, because then you could just grab lands from your graveyard and get zombies. I mean, what's not to love? And then we have one new addition in the milling category, which is the new Ralzeric. Because a Planeswalker that does +1 Surveil 2 sounds great. It's also an additional type I can grab off of muldrotha, and does help with a creature we'll see later, just for being a Planeswalker. So we run it for that reason. I did manage to -7 him once, and I felt really bad because the player skipped 4 turns. So I might not do that again in my entire life, but he's a good little surveilly boy. And then the final of the mill, there are other mills you'll see, is Psychic Frog. I class this as mill because you're discarding from your hand, so it's hand mill. So yes, you're not getting the effects of, oh, if it leaves your library, but you are still filling your graveyard up, which will matter. And Psychic Frog will be a card I touch on again at the very end of the non-lands. Again, you will see why. But yeah, that's the majority of the mill. We then go to the next section, which is, well, it's in the graveyard, but muldrotha's only got one of each permanent. What do we do with them? Well, we reanimate. We cast Reanimate on legs with a green Grave Researcher. We cast a double Reanimate by sacking a creature in Victimize. We grab everybody Reanimate in Entomb. We do a Reanimate literally everything on Rise of the Dark Realms. We grab a Reanimate muldrotha can use in Animate Dead. We grab a Reanimate to hand on Eternal Witness. We grab a Reanimate to hand again on a Emeritus of Abundance. We do a Reanimate from Graveyard with a Dryad's Revival. We do a Reanimate from this turn straight to the battlefield with the Master Transcendent. We do a Reanimate from Graveyard by sending a new one there with Cauldron of Essence. Then we reanimate our lands with Crucible of Worlds, letting us play them, or we just mass reanimate them with Will of the Sultai. The graveyard is our playground, even if muldrotha is not in play. Which does matter because muldrotha is a kill on sight, so you do like to have other ways to access your biggest resource. Next, we have some of the bombs for when you reanimate. Obviously, you've seen a couple already in the other areas, so like Hullbreaker Horror is a bomb. We have ourselves Colossal Grave Reaver. I like to call him Graham. Yeah. We have ourselves a Gary the Snail, aka Toxrill, because, yeah, of course, it's Toxrill. We have a Coma, Cosmos Serpent. And the one where having a Planeswalker kind of matters, Emrakul, Promised End. He is cheaper by the most you can like discount him is up until 6 mana, so you still need to cast 6 mana for him, even at his lowest. But we can still get him down to 6 mana by having all of the types in because we have the Planeswalker. The only one we're missing is Battle, and I'll be honest, making him 5 mana just to try to find a battle that I want to run, not worth it. So, still good. Then we have a win con kind of via Grey Merchant of Asphodel, aka other Gary. We have 2 Garys. And then we have not a bomb, but like my opponent can't win if they're a Voltron commander in Spore Frog. And then we go into 2 more bombs, which leads us into the next section. So I'll move these already. We'll grab a Emeritus of Woe and a Runescar Demon. These are the tutors, which puts us into the tutor section. Demonic Tutor, Vampiric Tutor, Demonic Council, Diabolic Intent. These are to your hand tutors. Then we have to the graveyard tutors in the form of Entomb, Buried Alive. I've got the Monty Python one, really like this version. Dina's Guidance, I have to double check the name of that because it's one of the newest ones. Lotus Light Dancers. And that is the main majority of that sort of tutor. We do have one other tutor, which is I find classes as separate. We have an Eldritch Evolution. You tutor from the field to the field by sacking a creature. It classes a tutor because like if you have like a 3 mana, you can grab a 5 mana. You know, you're grabbing it. It's great. Next we have the cards that I didn't really have a section for. They're just generic good stuff for the deck. So if like Flesh Duplicate, you can copy something your opponent has, or copy one of your things that already does something amazing. Like you could have a second Graham, Colossal Grave Reaver. We then have Spellskite, again the Furby art, just to add that little extra bit of salt. Sylvan Safekeeper, again another thing to sack for the Aftermath Analyst. And a Saw in Half to obviously cut in half like an ETB trigger that we like. Or again, we get 2 Grahams. Next we have the Ramp. We have obviously Arcane Signet, we already had the Soul Ring. We have a Phyrexian Altar. This is the one of my favourite altars because you can sack the Gravecrawler, make yourself a mana, give the radiation to your opponent, and still be able to recast the Gravecrawler and do that infinitely with the Ghoul and still get the kill. One of my favourite forms of Ramp that I didn't know existed until a mate played it, Mana Bond. You just show your entire hand, put all the lands onto the battlefield, and then chuck everything else in your graveyard. Yeah, it's just mass discard, which again, you're playing from your graveyard, that's fine. So it's just immediate ramp. It's a 1 mana enchantment as well, which means not only are you able to do it every end step of your choice, but you're also able to get it back with muldrotha, and if you've got a bunch of lands in your hand, you can just... talking of ramp, we have Spelunking. All of our lands now enter untapped, and we do get an additional land. And that matters because we do have the Head Shredder, which every time you mill a land comes back in tapped. But with this, comes back in untapped, and you just get a fuck ton of mana. And then we do have one more sort of ramp that isn't land ramp, which is Heuristic Study. You have your hand size ramp. And then the final non-land, and the reason that Psychic Frog has an additional ability, is the Blightsteel Colossus. This never gets cast. It used to in my old version, because this would be the WinCon, you would doppelgang this with like a bunch of Swiftfoot boots. But I still kept it in the deck, because when it gets milled, it goes back into the deck. So you mill your entire deck, this is now your deck, you draw it for turn, you discard it with the Psychic Frog, it goes back into your deck. You prevent yourself from decking out with this boy, essentially. I did look into Dredge 1s. There's only one card with Dredge 1 in its text. That's in these colours, and it is literally a giant mana cost creature, which at that point, no. Not worth it. So now we go into the lands. With the lands, we have fetches. We have the Polluted Delta, the Verdant Catacombs, and the Misty Rainforest. I never like running tutors, lands that can't brain's not remembering the word. Lands that can't fetch for lands that are in your deck. So these are all the colors that you can fetch for, which is black, black, blue, black, green, green, red, blue. Like if I ran like wooded foothills, I could only grab forests, and that can screw yourself over. So I don't like doing that. So I always grab ramp like fetches that can fetch what's in the deck. The first things you fetch for in this deck are the Surveil lands. I mean, it's a mill deck. Of course you're grabbing the Surveils first. Then you have your free shocks that you can run in this colour combo. We have the new 2 Turbulent lands. These are the only proxies of the deck. I did order them, but I want to get the deck list out today. But yeah, so these are fetchable. They enter untapped if all your opponents total have 8 lands or more. So turn 3, turn 4, but not even that, like turn 2 in some games, these are going to enter untapped in a basic commander pod. So very good lands. Then we have the other 2 that you can search for in fetches, which is the Goth Triome and Haunted Mire. Haunted Mire is, again, I'm just filling the deck out to have non-basics. Once I get another named land that doesn't just enter tapped, like I would have replaced that with another Turbulent land if we got it in that color combination, but we did not. So that's the fetches and what they fetch for. We then have ourselves Opulent Palace for mana fixing. Basically another triome, but not named, and it only enters tapped and can't be discarded for cycling. We have Demir Aqueduct, which will bounce a land to our hand. The reason I like this is because with like infinite land combos, I like to put this Takenuma back to my hand. So, yeah. We then have a utility land in the form of Shifting Woodland. Shifting Woodland obviously allowing us to get that infinite combo with Aftermath Analyst. So now that I've shown you all the cards, it's basically Aftermath Analyst, Spelunking, and any sort of land sack while you have this land out. You basically tap all your mana, sack all your lands, sack Aftermath Analyst to get all of those lands back out untapped. You then turn this into Aftermath Analyst in the graveyard, float all the mana again, sack them all again, activate the ability again, get all your lands back. And then because it sacrifices itself for the ability, this will be in your graveyard to redo it again. It's basically infinite landfall, and if you have more mana lands than you need mana to pull this combo off, also infinite mana. We then have a Phyrexian Tower as a utility land in the form of sacking our creatures, while also netting us a bit of extra positive mana. We have a Bojuka Bog. You can target yourself if you really hate yourself, like you're just really, really hating yourself today. You could just exile your entire graveyard, or you could do it to, you know, stop other graveyard players, or, you know, just to even the playing field a bit. Then you have a Celifid Colosseum. I mean, it will always have threshold pretty much, so you're always going to have the draw effect, which is quite nice. Reliquary Tower, yes, you could make it so you're never running this and you always have hand size. Yes, you're always discarding to hand size, giving your graveyard much more resources. But the thing with Muldrotha is you can only grab one per turn. So yes, it is technically a second hand, but you only get one of each type from that specific hand. Meanwhile, the hand in your hand, you can still cast like 2 or 3 artifacts. So max hand size doesn't matter as much. So it is nice to have it as like a little coup de grace. We then have a Lotus Field for mana ramp. You sack 2 lands. Oh no, I can use them anyway. Just to get a bit of mana ramp. Talking of mana ramp, we have the Temple of the False God. You're always going to have enough lands for this. Like, this deck ramps like crazy. Temple of Deceit and Temple of Malady, so you can scry. Just a bit of top deck manipulation. Darkball Pathway, so it's the black on the front, green on the back one. Just again, bit of versatility. We have an Underground River and a River of Tears, also for a bit of versatility. We then have, I'm just going to clear this up a little. We also have an Undergrowth Stadium, a Dream Root Cascade, a Woodland Cemetery for a bit of mana fixing. We then have the Exotic Orchard for mana fixing. We have the Command Tower, the Forest, the Island, and the Swamp. Once again, SpongeBob lands just to add a little bit of extra salt to the game. I don't know. I like my opponents being a little salty. And that's literally it. The deck just plays as I want to get my graveyard as big as possible, as quick as possible, and just do shenanigans. And there's a lot of shenanigans you can do. I'll be honest, I've played a lot of decks in my day. I have 42 commander decks to be exact. None have gotten close to being my favorite, as close as this, my Landfall, and my Toymaker deck has. I think those 3 are almost tied. I think this and Landfall are tied, and then Toymaker just sneaks out a little bit ahead, just because I'm a massive Doctor Who fan. So the playstyle being headed by one of the biggest Doctor Who villains, yeah, you know, I kind of like it. Kind of like it a lot. So yeah, as you can see, I'm shuffling it because I kind of want to do a quick test hand with it with you guys. So you can sort of see a typical how you're going to load your graveyard up real quick kind of game. Shouldn't take about a second to Shuffle. So I'm going to put the deck here because... Actually, I'm still going to put the deck here because it's just the way I mill. So I'm just going to draw my 7. I'll flip it up like this. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, immediately you have Blightsteel. No way of milling outside of this. And what, 3 lands, one of which sacks. Not worth it. We ship that one real quick. So we once again shuffle that. The thing is like, because you're running so many non-basics, you do have to keep in mind like what colors you're grabbing. You need to keep an eye on what, like if those lands are even usable immediately, because they're not always. Like you do need to keep an eye on like what your deck is doing that game. So this time we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. No mill, but we can make it work. So I'll put it up here so you can still sort of see the hand. So we draw for turn. I would say, because we're not really caring about a turn 1 play right now, we will just play that tapped. Untapping it, drawing. Ooh, Grave Research is really good actually. So we're going to play this on the black side. We're going to tap this green for him. And then we're going to, for now, pass. Untapping, upkeeping, and drawing. We will play another land. This one, again, depending on your pod, should enter untapped. Thinking. So we do have reanimate, so I would really like to... Yeah, I'm going to pay these 2 to Diabolic Intent this away. We're going to grab an Entomb to our hand. We're going to tap our last mana to Entomb here. Like, yeah, we're not going to be able to reanimate immediately, but unless they have specific graveyard removal right now, we just immediately put Graham in the graveyard. So we grab Graham. Graham, give me your answer to. Where the fuck are you? There he is. So we chuck Graham in. Reshuffle. And then Graham also turns Lotus Light Dancers into something really good later. So we untap. I assume, like, because graveyard like touching is not as common as everyone thinks it is. Oh, we've got this land, so we'll grab this immediately, because again, they will, let's be fair, have more than enough lands at this point. Reanimate for 1 black the Graham. Graham will mill us 1, 2, 3, none of which are creatures. Kind of sad, but it's fine. I think at this point we pay the 3. We cast the Grave Researcher we had. Creature count, we only have 1 engrave right now, so we're not going to get the reanimate anytime soon. But it also means if Graham dies and this survives, we just need 1 more creature to just be able to reanimate it again. So untap, we assume Graham's dead, for example. We'll draw. Well, we don't draw, we surveil. I would probably keep this as my draw, actually. Play a land. Hitting the 2, casting the Mesmeric. Card types, we have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we're just missing the Planeswalker now. Are we? Hang on. Creature, instant, land, artifact, sorcery. Oh no, we were at 5, sorry. So he still costs like 8 mana, so not anytime soon. We just pass. And if the Mesmeric survives, we tap down. So we're then milling the maximum amount of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we mill 1, 2, 4, 5. There was another creature among that. We had the town greeters. We'll still surveil. I'll dump that. Reanimate is now live. We draw. Ooh, Mana Bond is really nice as well. But I don't think we're going to do that. We're just going to pay the black. We're going to grab Graham again. Graham's going to mill us another 3. Soul Ring. Life from the Loam. Demonic Council. Still no creature. Jesus Christ, okay. That's really annoying. And we are 1 mana off of from Lotus Light Dancers. Yeah, we just sort of have to sit on it, which is really annoying. We don't have a way to draw right now. So we can't even attempt to dredge. Wow, our luck has been really bad on that. Yeah. Assuming Graham doesn't survive again, because let's be fair, he wouldn't. Do we assume he survives? But we're just going to assume our board was wiped entirely, because we're being a bit of a dick this game. Draw. Not bad, but still not amazing. I think we do play at the ripples here. We pay the 1 for the mana bond. And then we're going to go to our end step, and we are going to just choose to discard these. Because if we get this, it's fine. We'll pass, we'll untap. We could dredge. I'd rather have something to play with this turn in case we get a land. So I'll draw Aether Flux. God damn it. Alright, then we mill 3. 1, 2, 3. Paying 1. We grab Polluted. These stay in the grave. Play and crack Polluted. We'll grab the Underground Mortuary. Aether Flux in hand sounds like a good idea, actually. Just in case they have a graveyard removal at this point. Surveil. We will chuck Gary, though. We pass. Untap. Upkeep. Draw again. We hit a land. 2, 3. None of this is something I want to keep, so we're just going to keep that in the graveyard. Play a land. I think we keep. What are we going grave? That's 1 mana. When we have. Oh, we have. Oh, we have our Soul Ring. I think we've got anything we can immediately cast with a Soul Ring, but Soul Ringing doesn't sound like a bad idea. So we're going to tap out like this. Muldrotha. Pay 1 for the Soul Ring. Get ourselves a bit more mana. Basically, if Muldrotha dies, we've got a way to recast it if need be. Yeah, nothing we can do. No lands in hand, so it's pointless to mana bond again. I would just pass it here. Hope somehow Muldrotha survives, because at this point there's probably bigger fish to fry. Draw for turn. Got a Sidisi, that's actually kind of nice. 1, 2, and 3. No, we'll keep those engrave. We will then replay for our land for turn the Verdant. cracking it, I'd like to grab another surveil in the form of hedge maze. Surveil into a shifting woodland. We'll dunk that for now. We'll float a colourless with Soul Ring. Float a colourless, and then we'll do 1, 2, 3, like so. To cast this a DC. Milling another 3. Ooh, I like all of that actually. Yeah, so all that goes in here. I would like to pay the 3. We'll get ourselves a Spelunking. Draw a card, play an additional land from hand this turn right now. No. That's fine, because now all of our lands enter untapped, which will come in handy later. We pass. Again, probably bigger fish to fry at this point. I don't think we've done anything that scary that turn. We draw for turn. We do have the dredge, but right now we don't have a reason to dredge, if that makes sense. I don't really want to be dredging right now. I want to still be drawing some cards. So we mill these 3. I can add 1 to my hand. I mean, I like the Demonic Tutor. Yeah, do we grab something for the Demonic? Yeah, we're going to tap this one for the Demonic. Bear in mind, I'm playing this upside down. Like, I'm reading these cards upside down as we go along. Just so it's easier for you guys to see it. Which probably isn't that easy anyway. But I like to attempt. So with Demonic Tutor and Gravecrawler, we are 1 piece away from Infinite here. Because I don't think we have Ghoul or any of the altars in here, do we? Yeah, no Ghouls, no altars. Thinking. Because Demonic Tutor could get Ghoul. I could get the Gravecrawler, but then I don't have a way to sacrifice right now. I think the first thing I want to do is... Actually, I'm just going to go combat. I'm going to swing Sidisi, milling 3. We didn't hit any of them. In fact, we hit 3 lands. I would have rather have had the fucking thing out, but hey ho. We assume this guy dies for that reason. We're assuming a lot of bad things, to be fair, but you kind of have to when you're playtesting a deck like this. Yeah, I think we pay the mana for that right now, which is just that. Grab ourselves the Head Shredder. We need something that mills on ETB to try to ramp at least a little. Don't think I've got anything like that. Oh, I do. I have the Town Greeters. Yeah, we play the Town Greeters, I think, as our creature for this turn, which will mill us 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we get 2 untapped lands, these 2 in the grave. Animate Dead is actually huge here, because we haven't played our enchantment for the turn. So yeah, I think we pay 2 again. Grab the Animate Dead. Animate Dead grabs us probably Graham here. Milling us another 3. We hit 2 untapped lands. Bouncing a land to our hand, we'll bounce this one. One, two, three, four, 5, 6. 6 mana. So that gives me that. That gives me 4 mana left. I don't think I can go for an infinite still. Like, I could get one of the last 2 bits for the Soul Ring infinite. But again, that kind of screws it. Yeah. Unless I grab that, that allows me to grab that. Which then dumps that and that. Have I played my artifact? I did. I played my artifact for the turn. Oh, if I didn't play my artifact for the turn, I would have had it. Um... Hmm. So I'm thinking with Demonic Tutor, I could grab the one of my revivals, attempt to revive like Lotus Light. Lotus Light send 3 of my choice to the graveyard essentially. But I don't think that works, unfortunately. So I don't think I have any combo that wins me the game here, and anything I attempt to do is a bit scary. I mean, I'm already looking scary, unless the entire table is gunning for game at this point. I mean, I feel like I need to at least look at what I've got available to me. So we are going to detutor. So I could exhume. I mean, I could risk it on a mill. Hope I mill Aftermath. Yeah, I'd need to mill exactly Aftermath, right? No, because I don't even have the mana for Aftermath. I need an Aftermath and at least a land if I'm milling. There's my tutor here. Oh, I could Flesh Dupe. Flesh Dupe, Reaver, mill 3, grab 2 creatures instead of 1. That could work, actually. I think that might be it. Yeah, I mean, we attempt it, right? We do need the second blue, though, so I have to really hope. Yeah, we do have the second blue. So we tap 2 blue. Flesh dupe the Graham. We will mill 3 because of new Graham. We grab all of this. This untapped, this on the board, this on the board. Okay, okay. I'm dangerously close, but not quite there. Because I could cast for a black the Gravecrawler. Then Gravecrawler gives me a Hullbreaker bounce, but I don't think there's anything here that I could bounce that would work. Because I don't have the blue to recast Flesh Dupe. I could bounce the... Oh, actually, I could bounce that. Oh, but do I have another black? So if I tap this and sack a creature, I sack the Town Greeter. I can cast a Gravecrawler, bounce the Animate Dead, killing Graham. I am now floating 1 black. Again, I feel like Graham might be the best bet. The problem is both of the combos need a non-creature. And that non-creature has to be an artifact at this point for both of them. But I could, if I get off Graham specifically Emeritus, I could possibly... Yeah, I need specifically like Emeritus. And even then, I think I'm 1 mana short with Emeritus. So I'd need to also hit a land with Graham. Okay, yeah, again, we risk it. It's the only thing we can do. We mill 3. We already didn't hit what we needed. I mean, it's good that we hit the Hedron, but we did not hit anything else that we needed. So I needed to hit Emeritus and a land. Emeritus and a land would have gave us game here. We did not hit it. We did hit land for turn this turn. Best I could do is go to end step, trigger this, do this, mill another 3. But again, I don't think, outside of Spore Frog keeping us alive from one person in the pod, I don't think we've got enough here to survive. Yeah. But we did do a bloody good try of it, and that is assuming the worst in some of the junctions. Some of the other, like if I didn't get the worst in some of those junctions, like some politics or whatever, I think we would have had a better end game there. Oh, but yeah, that's the deck. It's very complicated at times. And only if you're trying to immediately win that turn. So it can take a minute if you're trying to win on a turn and then you just don't have it eventually, you know, but other times it is pretty straightforward of, oh, well, I have access from here and here, you know. One thing I do feel like adding that I think I might have a spare copy of, so if I do, it'll be in the deck list below, the update. I might see if I've got a Wishclaw Talisman, just because it's an additional tutor, but it's a tutor I can cast from the graveyard, which might come in handy, you know. But yeah, outside of that, that's the deck. I hope you enjoyed. I apologise that it's a longer recording. You probably left by this point, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next deck profile, which will probably be fairly soon. Ta-ta for now.